This is McCook's Mr. Bill. It's an honor to have you here. Heritage Days is coming this weekend in McCook, Nebraska. If you at all possible, come see it. A lot of people spend a lot of work and time making this work every year. Heritage Days. Now, they used to call it German Heritage Days, but some people said that was politically incorrect, so they now call it Heritage Days. But whatever they call it, it allows all of the races from all of the different countries to show up and have a good time. You bet. And we can all be Americans together on Heritage Days. McCook has seen a lot of pluses, a lot of gains, and it's seen some losses too, and some bad times. And one of the good examples, I think, to show and showcase the city of McCook is the negative and the positive. Is some years back we had a teenage girl go missing. Well, they did find that teenage girl, and she'd been stabbed to death, and her body had been terribly abused. With that in mind, the city was trying to cope with what happened, because that's so seldom anything like that would ever happen in our town, thank God. So I decided perhaps they needed to hear a story. And so I went public and told a story, because I'm on the streets 7 days a week in the summer, 5 days a week in the winter time, and I see a lot of things, and I'm there quite often when cops, teachers, and preachers aren't there. And so I told this story. I had 4 little kids come up to my treat truck, and they said, "Mr. Bill, can you pretend 43 cents is 50 cents? And I said, "Yeah, I can do that." And I said, "What do you want?" And they said, "We'd like a bottle of water." And I said, "Okay." I handed them out the bottle of water and took the 43 cents. And they said, "Mr. Bill, can we have 1 cup?" And I handed them out the cup, but I said, "You know, there's 4 of you. I ain't going to make you drink out of the same cup. I'll give you each a cup if you want." And they said, "No, Mr. Bill, it's not for us." And then they stretched out their hands and started pointing over to a yellow lab dog. Now, you could tell he was old. His eyes were sunk back into his head, had gray whiskers, had arthritis, something terrible in his feet and legs, and his old tongue was hanging out, because it was a plus 100-degree day. And I asked those little kids, I said, "Well, just whose dog is that?" And they said, "We don't know, but we're going to give him a drink of water." And without another word, off they went. Now, you might say that's a nice, cute story, but how would that relate and help for a murder of a young lady here in McCook? How could that possibly change anything? And so I explained. I said, those 4 kids that gave up all their treat money so that an old stray dog could have a cold drink on a hot day, well, one of those 4 kids was that girl that got murdered. So she was pretty special as far as I'm concerned, just as I consider every kid special in McCook, since I am Mr. Bill. In fact, I consider them my kids. One of the greatest compliments I was ever given is by a parent that came up to me and said, "You know, you're the sheepdog of this town. As long as I know you're around, my kids will be safe." And I said, "Thank you." And so they are. Heritage Days. I hope you come see it, and I hope you protect your children every chance you get. Rate this film.